Well, hey, Tym Moss.
Hey, Wendy Stuart. We're always like at the disco at the beginning of this show.
We are at the disco.
At the beginning of our show.
Makes us happy. Hi, everybody. Welcome to If These Walls Could Talk. As you just heard, I'm Wendy Stuart.
I'm Tym Moss.
What's going on, Tym Moss, on this blustery, windy Wednesday?
Well, I went out and did my walk, and I don't know. I'm fine with this weather. I enjoy a little cold.
It's invigorating for you?
Yeah, that wakes me up. Yeah.
Wow. And I am 80 degrees with the sun beating down, and I'm like, I am a summer girl.
Oh God, I'm laying in front of the air conditioner.
Pretending you're on the GW Bridge having a walk.
Or in the Antarctic.
Or in the Antarctic, right? Which is like, oh my God, that's kind of a double entendre today. What's new in your world, Tym Moss?
Oh my goodness. So much. I had dinner last week with Chrissy Miller, a comedian, a friend of mine, and
she's funny. Yeah,
laughed our butts off, which we both needed. Was a fun night out. And then on Friday, I went to the Bronx, to the Bronx Borough President's had a Trans Day of Remembrance event,
right?
Which actually occurred on Friday. And
they had it early because Trans Day of Visibility was Monday, so they started. Right. Yeah, a lot of people did events Friday. Very cool. Right,
but a lot of my friends, and I met a lot of new friends. They're from the governor, people that are working now at the governor's office, like Chanel Lopez, at Jumaane Williams, the public advocate's office, at Tish James, the attorney general's office, the Commission for Human Rights. I mean, there was just like, we are represented everywhere, and the trans community and gender non-binary is represented everywhere now. So in
New York, we are like, you know what? If we succeeded from the United States,
yeah, we'd be fine.
It wouldn't surprise me because it's like everything is still moving and shaking here, and thank goodness it is, right?
No, we are preserving our rights for everybody here. Yeah, definitely. So
as we should.
Yeah. It was just such a great day, and it was so nice to see everybody. And I got to hang out with the Bronx Borough President for a little while because I've known her for years. She is the coolest lady, and we got a few minutes alone, which was really nice. So
that is very, very cool. I know you've done a lot of work up in the Bronx and continue to do a lot of work up in the Bronx. And I'm from the Bronx, so I just love that you're doing that, right?
Yeah, and I'll be hosting Bronx Pride in July.
Cool.
For Apollonia Cruise for Bronx Pride. And I think in June, the Bronx Borough President, Vanessa Gibson, may want me to participate in, I don't know if she wants me to host or what, but in her Pride event in June.
Oh, well, that's great. I know June is going to be such a crazy Pride month. I have TriVersity in Pennsylvania. We just completed a really great project called I Am What I Am. Mm-hmm. And we did the presentation on Saturday. It was a arts and writing project defining people's gender, how they felt about their gender. It was highly personalized, and the artwork was really great. But what I loved was the writing pieces, the epiphanies that people have about themselves and the self-realization. It was very well attended. And again, it was a workshop done at TriVersity, the Pride Center in Milford, Pennsylvania, which I'm connected to and was one of the original people that made it happen. We also on Monday night had Transgender Day of Visibility, very well attended. I think the most well attended in years, and that's the irony of it, right? In the worst of times, the most support, which was really great. Everybody gathered at the center, and again, I say to you, we're very lucky to be living in New York. I went to the event, The Birdcage, at a place called Jean's. Christina Visca gives incredible parties in New York, and the music was amazing. There were a lot of people you would have known there too, Tim. Khalil, who's been on the show. Khalil looked amazing, and I want to have Khalil back. Khalil wrote another book. I love this when I'm out dancing and I run into people that have been on the show and they have written another book or they just finished a role in a movie. We always say, hey, we want to have you back. Now we definitely have a reason. And this Saturday, you have
I was going to say,
an event.
I was going to say, you're going one way on Saturday. I'm going another one.
One way or another.
But in relation to what you were just talking about, I was watching a horror movie the other night, which was absolutely hysterical. And a good buddy of mine, he's like, my little brother popped up on there. And I was like, I didn't know he was in this movie.
What movie was it?
Oh my God, what was it called? It was hysterical. It was really bad.
I love a bad horror movie.
But it was great. It was like in that cult classic type of thing. And I have to think it's a very clever name, but I'll have to think about it and get back to you on that. But I love when that happens. I love when that happens. But this Saturday at the Copacabana, 5:30, we're going to be doing Loose Lips, Ikevelli and I, and we're going to do it in front of a live audience, kind of in the old Johnny Carson style, where we will have a long sofa, and then each guest will come up and then move down, and the next one comes and sits, and then they move down, and the next one. And we've got, oh my gosh, let me think. We've got Jezebel, Kobe Cole, Jed Ryan, and Joe Preston.
Yeah.
Or, yeah. So
four great ones. And I'm sorry I have to miss it because I love all those people.
Oh, me too. And I'm sorry I'm going to have to miss you too.
Well, I'll be at Night of 1,000 Gowns with the Imperial Court of New York. You know, it's our annual amazing
big night.
Yep, we will be dripping diamonds. Well, not really diamonds. We'll be dripping rhinestones. Well, I know there probably will be people there dripping diamonds.
Probably.
Dripping rhinestones. And all of my jewelry this year was designed by Alexis Flame of Crystal Fire, the Alexis Flame. And my dress came from B&B Couture. It is quite something. I will be a vision in yellow, and Rollerina is coming as my date.
Nice.
It'll be, it should really be fun. Of course, everything the Imperial Court does, we raise money, of course, for other LGBTQ organizations like Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS. Like I say, you know what? We are in New York. We can make things happen no matter what is happening around us.
Absolutely. With the Imperial Court, because I used to cover the red carpet there, and we used to have, celebrities coming along.
Yeah.
I remember Marsha Mason. I think she won an Academy Award, I think.
Yes, Marsha Mason too. I love Marsha Mason.
I fell in love with her that night, and we were just kikiing on the red carpet, just chatting and stuff. And I got her laughing so hard because I said, "Have you ever been to the Night of 1,000 Gowns?" And she goes, "No." And I said, "This is the gayest thing you will ever experience."
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Everybody really, really does it to the nines. And
exactly. Yes.
And the Imperial Court, of course, we're called the Imperial Court because we follow the court system in England. So we have what's known as protocol. Like when my name is announced, I have to go up and I have to have gloves on and I have to curtsy. Yeah, I'm practicing my curtsy. I'm not.
Oh, good.
I'm practicing my curtsy for that. So yeah, it should really be fun.
And Night of 1,000 Gowns is the big night of the year for the Imperial Court, where it all comes together, and it is an amazing evening.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. And maybe next year.
And that's where the next emperor and empress will be coronated and crowned, and then they will take over at midnight for the following year.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it all works. So, my goodness, I was at the Explorers Club. I think it was like probably 8 weeks ago, maybe longer. And one of our members came over to me and started talking about this theatrical production they were doing. And it sounded fascinating because it was about exploration. The project is currently running till April 6th. It's called SUR, S-U-R, and it is based on a short story. The beauty of this piece is it takes place in 1909, it's early 1900s, and it's about 9 women who travel to Antarctica on an exploration, right? This is an expedition. In those days, they left behind their children and their husbands, things were very different. And they go on this expedition. First of all, the storyline had me like, this is like great, right? 9 women on an expedition in those days. We didn't have Gore-Tex and those explorers' clothes. So they had to kind of come up with like, old style. It was like furs and skins and stuff like that. So this amazing play is currently at La Mama in the Ellen Stewart Theater. And I mentioned that theater because there's a lot about that connects to our guests who are coming on. They completely transformed the theater to the point where I was actually freezing cold. I felt like I was in Antarctica. I am not.
I love it.
The technical side of it was as brilliant as the performances. I would like to welcome, and we're going to split up our introductions. I am first going to say I'm welcoming Onni Johnson, the director and writer, and Tim is welcoming
the director of outreach. I'm trying to see Maud Dinand.
Maud Dinand, please come in. He got it. You did a much better French accent than I would have.
Well, I hope I came close.
I think that was
You'll
really
need to move over, Wendy.
Great. Yes, I am. I'm taking my notes over. I got the whole kit and caboodle here.
There's Onni.
Over, and we got to get Maud on screen.
We got to get Maud in there. Maud Dinand. Is that correct? Was I close?
Okay. Are we good? We're good.
No, if you can move over just a little bit more and let them move in a little bit.
Okay, great.
A little more.
Okay.
There we go. Hi, Maud. Did I get your name close?
It was close, yes.
Yes, okay.
You have the en French. Maud Dinand.
Dinand.
Dinand. Oh, it is so Dinand.
Okay. Maud Dinand. Okay. I will get it from now on.
Right, because you're gonna make you say it 10 times fast. I'm just kidding. Welcome to the show. Thrilled really to have you here, and was happy to be a guest at your show, and now you're a guest at our show. I love the piece, and you were the one that basically decided to birth this baby. Pardon the image, but yeah.
Well, sort of. It starts with Ursula K. Le Guin.
Yes.
It is a story by her that I read in 1982.
So 1982, and it's Ursula
Le
Guin,
who is an amazing science fiction writer. And this story appeared in the New Yorker, and it just really struck me that it was not only thematically amazing, but that there was something very theatrical about it, and I really wanted to see it on a stage, in a film. So there was something about it that stuck with me. I work very.
You worked very hard to make it.
No, I was going to say I work very slowly.
Well, 1982. What year are we in now? 2025. Wow. You know what? It is what it is. Sometimes the best things in life take a really long time.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting to me is the fact that it resonated with you to the degree that it did. I love that it was 1982 and now we're in 2025 and your dream is being realized and having this at La Mama of all places. There's something very kismet about that.
Well, I have to say that when I first read it, it felt so resonant. It was like, in 1980 we were trying to get the Equal Rights Amendment passed. And this was 2 years later. Nobody had the idea about climate change. I mean, people thought about it, but the words climate change were not on everybody's tongue.
Right.
In fact, exactly the time when people noticed a hole appearing in the ozone layer.
That's the only thing. That's what I remember, Tim. Right, the ozone layer thing. Yeah.
And here was Le Guin writing this story. She had very strong feminist credentials, and she was a writer, and she was a mother, and here was this story. So it's an incredible story. The New Yorker just republished it last week.
Oh, wow!
Wow!
Talk about kismet. But it just because it's their 100th anniversary.
That's what you had told me, Maud. Yes. But like that wasn't like a PR person didn't call it. Just happened.
We don't know because Annie wrote to one of an editor.
You wrote to an editor.
She didn't have any answer. I listed every people who were like chroniclers, columnists, whatever, at the New Yorker. I wrote to all of them.
You wrote to everybody.
And I heard nothing from them. And then suddenly this thing came. Yes, there is a production about Sue coming at La Mama. So We don't know who to thank, but what we do is hard work, like making sure that people get your information.
No, this is the point, right? You wrote to everybody. You didn't hear from anybody. Tim, how often does it happen to us?
Yeah.
And then boom, it appears in the New Yorker, and it is a perfect time. You couldn't have planned it.
And that's
more
very
perfectly.
rewarding,
It is,
it's,
right?
It's like magic. Yes.
It's like it is magic when things like that happen.
Yeah.
So 1982, you read this. What aspects of this, the characters and the setting, and what stuck with you so much? I found myself, by the way, when I was watching it, that's what I kept asking myself. I couldn't wait to find out. Like, I loved it, but obviously, man, you sunk your teeth in 82 and never let go.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing that really, really struck me was the way that a group of women came together, went out there secretly, didn't tell anybody, prepared only up to a point because they had no idea.
They had no idea, right?
But they did it. And the way that they worked together, that community that they created, the agency that they found in a time when women did not have agency, and then the fact that it wasn't important. It wasn't important to them to claim territory. It wasn't important to put down a flag. It wasn't that really struck me.
That's
well, firstly, because this was one when I was reading the synopsis, I was kind of like, wait, did this really happen? I was like, is this a story that I'd never heard of? Because it very well could. And it's about, what was it, 9 women that took upon themselves to go to Antarctica and actually travel to the South Pole and that was what, 2 years before
Amundsen.
Amundsen actually went to and claimed it.
Yeah.
But they went and did what they had to do. They achieved it and then left without anybody even knowing it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Just to go and see.
Yeah, right. I love that.
Yeah.
And that's what got me thinking, oh my God, did this really happen?
So let's talk about that, Tim, because that's a good point. No man would ever do that. They have to stake their claim on their territory, whether it's marking it or
they probably even if it's just going down and peeing on it to mark the territory.
That's what I'm saying. They're marking it, right?
What's happening? I mean,
Absolutely.
We're gonna own Greenland, by God.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
what?
Right.
Oh God.
I know. Which is so completely preposterous.
Well,
yes.
Right.
Yeah. So,
and actually, your play could have been set in the territories around Greenland. It's, it's very, very much the same thing. It is ironic that, who we have in the administration thinks he's just going to go and claim Greenland,
Well, that's what I was thinking in the years between 82 and now. There was a period when I thought that it had lost some of its resonance, that a younger woman would look at this play and say, what do you mean? Why didn't they claim something?
Right.
At least, why didn't they say, yes, we did it first?
Right.
And then it feels like really suddenly.
Yeah.
This is a question again. Women no longer have agency.
Right.
We have,
right.
We don't have. So I think there was a reason why it took so long.
No, I think right. The timing.
Yeah, timing is great right now.
Yeah, you couldn't have been better with the timing. So working on a piece like this, you had a lot of actors on the stage, and then the technical part of it.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, could you share a little bit of that with us? Maud, please jump right in.
I think it went little by little. 2 years ago, I was one of the persons that Onni showed the text and said, I have this thing in my head forever, and I don't know what to do with it. Do you have any idea what we can do with that? And I read it, and I said, yeah, we have to do something. But I didn't know either. And so, Annie talked to one or two other of a friend of Trojan women. I mean, we are in the Trojan Women Project. In fact, we are 4 women.
Or four women. Yeah, and you can give us a little backstory on the Trojan
and
Women
so
Project.
we told the 4 women together, and Annie decided to do like a reading. And then from that, after that, yes, it was 9 people and maybe more, we don't know. So we approached people who we thought could fit in our way to see it, because from day one, we wanted to do a collective. And we wanted to follow the story where it was no leader. It was, we were going to do things together, and we will do what we needed to do to make it happen. So that started like that, and we started going on the internet and pitching, and we went to the Explorer Club,
right,
to meet explorers, and we talked with the young generation of the Explorer
Yeah,
Club.
right. What are the 50 under 50? I think we call the next generation explorers.
So just to have a feel about
your characters.
what it means to do that, and we certainly did a lot of research on Ursula Le Guin and the feminist studies and all that. And we were around the table all the time bringing more and more and more, and we were getting more and more educated. And we could have done that for years. And someday,
wait, I'm stopping you. She just said we could have done that for years.
We could have.
Oh.
Who needs a product? You just keep,
just keep
stirring,
stripping it.
But someday we realized that we had to make a move, and we didn't know how to make a move. And finally, we found, you found, a woman who has an experience as a director, but we told her, listen, we need a director, but we don't want a director. So how do you deal? And she's very good. She was a diplomat, and she really managed to deal with the ideas that we had bring together
100%.
and use this idea and ask us if that was the way we wanted to do it, and help us putting the thing together.
So she was really part of the collective as opposed to being a director. That you're very lucky to find somebody like that, right?
Why are we? I just because you mentioned the technicals, we knew we needed a set designer, and somebody said, "Oh, here's this amazing puppeteer, Leah Algawa," and she had just done this installation with paper and strings. And Maddie, who is in the show, who plays the younger me, said, meet Leah. So we sat down with Leah and we told her the story, and she came up with this idea of like making her the work that the processes that she was investigating, and this was 18 months ago at least. She suggested, we'll do this thing, we'll put paper on string and we'll pull it up and stuff. And then that idea became our set. So those were the ingredients that she brought to the table. And
and we abandoned the paper.
Yes.
And we choose the parachutes.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I saw. And if you can just describe for people that have not seen it, because it was quite remarkable. You had enormous parachutes on pulleys to duplicate what icebergs would look like.
And other things. There was the moon, there was a boat, there was the camp.
They had everything going on, and then they had haze, smoke. Coming in on it. And I'm sitting in the audience freezing my tatas off. This shows you it, and the air conditioning was on, but it wasn't the AC. It was the fact that I've never seen a set like that in my entire life, honestly.
There you go.
And
from a puppeteer.
And then another one, Onni, you had worked with her in Italy a few years ago, right? With immigrants, yes. Yeah. And Erato is this projectionist, she's from Greece. She's a Greek projectionist, but she works internationally, and so she created the magic with the parachute, because all the projection, the flowers and the waves,
it was unbelievable,
and the penguins,
right? The penguins, right?
And the Captain Pardo.
Yeah,
the Captain Pardo. I was Captain Pardo.
I thought that was your voice.
That was my voice.
It is interesting because you didn't really have a director. In the actual piece, you have a captain, but he doesn't stick around. He leaves that, right? No. So it was the same kind of thing. You had the director. She gave whatever creative input, but didn't stick around.
Yes.
She's still around.
But I'm saying she was not the overriding thing, just like the captain wasn't the overriding thing on the ship.
Right. That's it. Yes. There's other there's
other,
for example,
that really hit me.
There is
the script was from Onni and from Matty, who is doing a young person. The script was done by both of you. You did the first script, and then after that, Matty, as a younger person also, and did bring, and we all created inside.
Everybody gave, this is, Tim, we talk about this all the time, collaborations like
Absolutely,
that, right?
Absolutely. Can I just, speaking of technicality, can you either push the computer back or move? I want to try to get Maud in just a little bit more.
Okay. How is that? We're back because the lights are at the end.
Yes,
now we can see everybody.
You mentioned they could sink, and
right. Maud is sinking into an iceberg right now, even as we speak.
Captain Pardo is
So the fact that the director, it was very loose with the director, and you had this big cast, and you were asking for input. What kind of pitfalls did you come into? Because I could see how opposing opinions might play into this. Like, how did you work things out?
Like in the story,
it worked.
Like Le Guin says, and I quote, we argued a great deal and people grumbled, but actually not so much.
Okay.
I think, I really think, tell me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
But that people were able to find their own voices and to find their own objections. Once there was a director, once Megan came in, Megan Paradise Hamley, she came in, it really did feel like a little bit of a relief. But on the other hand, there was this feeling that, but when we have dedicated ourselves to collective decision making, what is that balance of power?
Right.
We didn't find an answer, but we're still struggling. But but just the process.
So there wasn't necessarily one person at the top of the pinnacle saying we'll do this and we won't do that. It was more collective.
Yes,
that was very obvious. Yeah, yes. that it was,
and it was
in a way, kind of like that expedition was.
Yeah,
exactly.
You created the play based on the same spirit of the play itself.
Yes,
we tried
to a point. To a point.
Uh-huh.
At the end of the play, we have one of the person who is getting a baby totally unexpectedly.
Oh, I didn't expect that. Yeah, she was pregnant.
And on reality, in our group, Leah, who makes the parachute set, she gave birth the day we came to La Mama.
Oh my goodness!
She has a 2-week-old baby. We weren't expecting this baby, but it was just a beautiful.
But the fact that what a parallel!
I know, it's amazing.
Did she have a boy or girl?
A girl.
Just like
yeah.
Wow, huh?
Wonder the next generation of women. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
As it had to be.
Yeah.
The amount of parallels. You know what? You know why it took so long to get this up and running? Because it wasn't supposed to happen before now. There's too many things in this that are not coincidence. They were supposed to happen.
I mean,
it's all coming together.
Yeah.
I think a lot that, I actually had to wait till I was a grandmother to be able to do this.
Right.
And then now I'm a grandmother, so I can talk about my grandchildren without even, no sense memory.
Without even remembering who they are.
I remember sort of.
It is very interesting to me when Maud came up to me at the club and started to tell me about. I didn't know what the Trojan Women Project was.
Tell us about.
Give us a little backstory on that.
Well, I mean, okay, that's two different things in a way.
Yeah,
it's the same. Okay. The Trojan Women Project was created in 2014.
Okay.
By Onni.
And it's 4 of you.
No, not at the time. With Kim, who is a tiny little one, was playing Berta, the sculptress.
Oh, okay.
So Kim and Onni, and so
and two men.
and two men from also La Mama.
So you had two men.
Two men in the Trojan Women.
Yes.
Why the Trojan Women Project? Because it was coming from this play which was done at La Mama in '74, I think.
Wow.
Called The Trojan Woman, and which at the time was directed by André Sherban and with the music from Elizabeth Swedos, and so which was an international success. This play toured in festivals around the world and make La Mama really on the map. And so it was in this play some technique, corporal technique and voice techniques, very strong voice techniques, which everybody coming to see the show was saying, oh my God, it changed our life. And we were like,
it changed our life. Wow.
And including me, because I was a product of the audience. I was at the time in Europe, and I was managing a contemporary art festival in La Rochelle in France. And a huge
I know La Rochelle.
International.
It's beautiful.
So that was an international festival, and I did that for 4 years. And then in '76, La Mama came to this festival, and I had to deal with helping them putting Trojan Women, and they performed that in the sea. On the beach and on the sea, and they did other play as well. I mean, 4 other plays.
So is that how you first met?
Yes, I met Onni at this time.
At in La Rochelle. Wow, I thought
Onni was dating her husband, who was also in the group, and yes, that was at the time. And so at the time, Ellen Stewart at the end gave me a suitcase, and she said, "You come with us."
Oh, okay, that's good. That's great. Tim, did you know Ellen Stewart at all?
No, I did not.
And a lot of people we know, like Don Arrington, a lot of people, I've heard so much, I didn't know.
I've heard of her. I know of her. Yeah.
Incredible, right? She gave you a suitcase. I love it. You're coming with us.
Yes. So anyways, and so not to come back to the Trojan Women Project, at a certain point, everybody was, because it went on and on during the year. It went in Iran, it went in Greece, it went in Paris.
It traveled all over the world.
All over the world. And so at the time, we were all saying, we have to let the Trojan woman sleep. You know, I mean, that's enough now. But then Onni was saying, why is this technique changing people's lives, they said. And could we use this technique in other situations? And if we use this technique, for instance, for people coming out of war, like a new language, or that they can communicate and something. And so they had a chance to go to Guatemala.
Right.
And they went twice to Guatemala. And the first time they worked with people who knew La Mama, because Ellen Stewart traveled all around the world. So they knew. But then after that, they met this Indian woman from Comalapa, this village, and who said, you know, we will need really that. And so they went to work with this Indian
Maya woman.
Yeah, Maya woman.
Mayan woman in Guatemala,
so,
yeah.
After that, they had this invitation, but we didn't have any money, okay? I mean, so it was always peanut and, you know, living very poorly. And so they had this invitation to go to Cambodia, but no money. So the money had to be found and all that. And then at this time, they needed also someone, I don't know. Anyway, my name came up. And I was just retiring for United Nations at the time.
That's when you worked for United Nations.
Yeah, I mean, I did La Mama, then I worked for a wine company, and then I worked at United Nations, and I came back to La Mama.
And you think you have a resume, Tym Moss? My God, Moss.
And so anyway, Onni Mia, the director of La Mama, one day I was in a cafe and she said, Maud, you know, we are talking about you. So I talked to Onni and I said, what do you want me to do? And she said, I don't know. You come with us and you'll see, you know. So I joined the group and we all went to Cambodia, and we went twice to Cambodia, and we worked with people, first a group of dancers, but also we work with a group in another city in Battambang with women who had been victims of violence or something like that. And then we worked with another group, Epic Art, in Kampot, kids who had jumped on mines or who were on wheelchairs.
You were using your art for social justice and healing.
Yes, so we did that.
Wow.
And then after that, they said to me, but because with the United Nations, I had lived like 3 years and a half in Kosovo. I worked there. They said, Onni told me, you have been in Kosovo. We would like to go to Kosovo. So I went back to Kosovo. I replugged the contact that I had there, and we went to Kosovo. And for me, my interest was, if we go to Kosovo, we need to work with artists over there. We need Albanian, Kosovar Albanian, Kosovar Serbs, and Kosovar Roma.
Wow,
Because
the three very different groups.
Yes. And we managed to do that.
Wow.
And we perform in Pristina, the capital, by the library, around the library outside. And we perform in a Serbian enclave in the north, Mitrovica, which is a tough one. And we work in the south in a beautiful little city, which is very much Turkish influence, where the Roma lived. And so we perform on these 3 different places. And then when we finish all that, it was like, so now what?
Now what do we do?
and so Kim and Onni, especially, put together the Trojan Woman Project Festival at La Mama. And in, what it was?
2019.
2019, we invited some people from Guatemala. I think it was 3 people from Guatemala. It was 4 people from Cambodia. And
amazing.
And it was 6
from Kosovo.
From Kosovo, including Serb, Albanian, and Roma. And the Roma person was one of these musicians with a big wooden flute. Like
right, Roma is called gypsy,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And it had
yes. So we had that, and André Sherban accepted to come back to redirect the play that he had originally done at La Mama in '74. And we put some original from the group, like Onni and from '74, who came back for that.
But also the Great Jones.
And the Great Jones Company.
Jones Rep people.
Yes. Some people who had been taking classes with André and came to La Mama after that. He was directing theater at Columbia University and came. So 50 people on stage.
50 people on stage. Wow, can you... Yes. Can you imagine?
And so, okay, so then all that being done after that, it was like, we have to reinvent ourselves.
It was a month before the pandemic started.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, that's an important point.
No,
right.
Meanwhile, we had worked a little bit with immigrants. You did, and Sarah did, with another one from Trojan Woman in Italy, and we worked also with Kenya online. And that was after COVID.
Right.
That was COVID. So during COVID, yes, we did scenes online. And then Onni came with this new thing, and it was like, so what does it have to do with Trojan Women? It has plenty to do with Trojan Women.
Oh, yeah.
and here we are.
And here we are.
Yeah.
How did you get the name Trojan Women's Women's Project? How did you?
Because it's Euripides Trojan Women.
From Euripides, yeah, perfect, right.
So
right. It's amazing to me how you've taken theater, not Broadway commercial theater, and woven it creatively, politically, internationally.
Mm-hmm.
You've brought it all over the world in a very changing world, right? And you use the word reinvention. You constantly have to reinvent.
Yeah.
And
it's hard. It gets exhausting after a while.
Yeah, but it's very satisfying.
I love that.
I think that's what links all of us. It's like we have this common
right.
wish, something like that, to bring something to people, to connect with other people.
That's important.
Yeah.
And I love how you'll come up with an idea or a location.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, let's just do it.
That's just wonderful.
How do you both feel about the theater scene in New York? La Mama, the Wild Project, they're the last of a breed of creative places where people can work. It's harder and harder to find
like
that.
experimental theater. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your perception on it? Where do you see it going?
Well, that's a really hard question,
I
because
know.
all of these, like La Mama is just continuing through Mia Yu, who's the director now, continuing to do amazing work and attracting international artists.
Yeah.
But everyone's losing their funding.
Right.
I mean, all the programming that La Mama has, and this is not just La Mama, but so many places in New York and throughout the country, they program theater and art that this administration finds threatening and subversive. So not only will the funding be cut, it already has been cut.
It already has been cut. Yeah,
like,
I've heard that.
All people are having to let people go. Even arts administration groups, like we have an umbrella, a fiscal umbrella organization. They've had to let people go. So already there's that. And then the next step is obviously that people are going to be coming in saying, well, you can't do this play. If you can't say gay, like in Miami, then then it's not so far from Florida to New York.
That's exactly
right. You can't say gay.
Right.
You can't.
They're going to start trying to dictate what you can say.
You cannot say women.
You can't say women. You can't point.
Right.
You can't point your season towards diversity. You can't try to rewrite American history by pointing out the genocides that America has been part of. I mean, all these things. So that's the down dark side.
That's the down dark side.
The upside of that, I'm sorry, if there is one, is that that's how truly experimental art happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is true resistance, by the way.
I agree.
Yeah, that is a true resistance.
So if we can find hope in this rather hopeless time, it is that, as always, it will bubble up, that the impulse to make really amazing new art.
Absolutely.
You can't kill it.
Right.
No, you cannot kill it.
Art will be the lotus flower in the swamp.
Yeah.
Always. And if you look at history, that's a great analogy, Tim. If you look at history, art has always gotten us through. And I actually am very hopeful. I think New York is a pivotal place. And there are other places in the country that are pivotal, that no matter what happens, we are going to just continue to do what it is that we do. I didn't find anything like, if you took your show to not New York, but maybe somewhere in the Midwest, I honestly don't think anyone would find anything polarizing about it or political. They wouldn't look into it in that way. It was a great story, and it was amazingly presented on stage. And you know what? Sometimes that's what you need to swing people's opinions and influence them. It's a great story.
It is. I mean, it's not just for SUR, but it's really the Trojan Women Project. Way of doing things.
It's the way of it.
We're not going to tell you what to think. I don't personally like theater that tells me what to think, even if they're telling me to think the things that I'm already thinking. They share my point of view. It doesn't move me. I think it's the kinds of things that leave questions, that make people question themselves, their lives, and to leave a little bit of room for their own stories to come. Oh, I can see myself there. Yeah. Yes, that happened to me. It's
connector.
I mean, that's the way that we do things, which is not to say that political theater, agitprop theater we need it, but that's not what we do.
But that's not what we do.
Right.
We tell story.
Right.
And people take it.
And they can do what they want.
You basically, you present the story.
Right.
And whatever happens from there is up to the person watching.
Absolutely. How did you both get started in theater? Oh, she's laughing. I'll start with you. Came out of the womb with it, didn't you, Onni?
Not quite, but I do. I mean, I grew up in New York, and I do remember as a teenager locking myself, oh God, in my room. And there was a station from New Jersey that played all the Broadway musicals. Like every night there'd be
wow.
and I would just lock myself in my room. I knew all the words to all
I
the
love
shows,
it.
and I made up the dances that was in my room.
Tim loves this.
But it's very hard. It's still a little hard for me to come out of my room. So like I've done a lot of other things. But I majored in theater in college. I came to New York. Came back to New York.
Back to New York.
I soon after started working at La Mama. I started working 2 years after college.
Oh, wow.
At La Mama, because when I in the late 60s, if you wanted to do experimental theater, that's where you went.
Right.
So even though it was I lived on 20th Street and La Mama was on 4th Street, we were not allowed to go that far.
People didn't go down. Where were you on 20th?
And First.
I was 70th 20th for a long time. We were neighbors.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
God.
But she's right. Like you didn't go down and La Mama and all of that, even when I was in college and I was after you, but it was just like, it's that weird village kind of stuff,
Dangerous.
It was dangerous, right?
Oh, yeah, the East Village. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was totally dangerous. What about you?
Well, I think that it came, I was a shy little girl, totally but I happened to have a father who was a journalist. And when I was a little kid, was taking me with him everywhere I was going. And he had free tickets to go to the theater and we could go backstage. And so I was fascinated by that.
Nice.
Little, after that, it was like a self-affirmation. I decided to be a mime. Started studying.
Wait, you were a mime?
I'm guessing you grew up in France, but where in France did you grow up?
In La Rochelle.
La Rochelle. Yeah.
Oh, in La Rochelle. Okay.
Yes, New Rochelle. Here are people from my city who escaped at the time of the religious war between Catholic and what you call Huguenots.
And
my city was Huguenot. So a lot of my people went away, and some of them created New Rochelle. Yes.
Wow.
And so that's that. And then my parents were not for me to go into theater at all. So I always was like that. And I took myself to England for 2 years. I put myself as a chambermaid and I studied mime over there. And
wait, you worked as a chambermaid?
Yes. In
she throws all these things in. You really want to listen. You worked as a chambermaid.
Yes, at the Russell Square Hotel, the Victorian Hotel on Russell Square. I was a chambermaid there.
Wow.
Yes. And so I did mime for a while in street theater. And
I love these stories.
Came back to France because I was homesick somehow. I didn't know where I was going. And then I did some experimental theater in Paris. It was, at the moment, it was like this new revival of experimental theater with Festival de Reims. Anyways. And so I went into that. And at the time, I was thinking that I was bad. I was not a good actress. And so I went into production, and that's when I went to Togo. And
you went to Togo in Africa, which we have that in common. It's a tiny little country where I ate goat meat with my hands. I liked it. It's beautiful. It's on it's like La Rochelle. It's on the ocean, right? There it is. I knew I'd find a parallel there. I know.
Yeah,
but big palm trees. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And then after that, I came back and found myself in all the cultural thing. French government subsidized, so I went in La Rochelle Cultural Center, Maison de la Culture, and this festival, and until I met Ellen Stuart, and Ellen Stuart.
Yes. So even though your parents didn't want you to be in theater, look what happened.
When they came to see me here, they were still not convinced about how serious I was. And they said, but it seems to work for you.
That's a win.
But Ellen Stuart changed my life.
Ellen Stuart changed Your life.
Changed
My life
Yeah.
too.
Wonderful. Now, tell us again, tell everybody how they can see the show, what the dates. Well, actually, they're right below us here.
Yeah.
So we
Okay.
have the Trojan Women Project, and the name of the show is SUR, S-U-R.
Sur. So can you say it? You say it. Yeah.
Sur.
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 Yeah.
It's Spanish.
Sur.
Spanish.
Sur.
Yes.
I'll never get it. Anyway, I've been telling people to go see Sur. You'd love it.
It means the South.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
people
yes.
are interested, I just want to mention that after the show
Yes.
on Thursday, which is I think tomorrow, we're going to have 3 women do a talk after the show.
Nice.
They are the 3 of them women who have been to Antarctica. One of them just came back this February.
Wow.
2 are writers. Elizabeth Lean is a writer and has studied Antarctica. Madeline Blount has just come back. She was an artist on a scientific expedition, and she's
Oh
the
my
one who came back.
goodness.
And Leilani Rashida Henry has written a book about her father, who was the first Black man
Yeah.
to set
I
foot
think- yeah.
on Antarctica.
Right.
And,
Wow.
and she has visited Antarctica as well. And then on Friday, we have another talk back after the show. We have Michelle Hamadache and Jane Messer, who are 2 authors from Australia who during the pandemic wrote collectively an article about SUR. They wanted to see if they could work collaboratively, just like
Oh,
NYC wrote
wow.
an amazing article. And oh gosh,
This is a tough name.
Yes,
Stephanie Krzwanas.
who has written about Antarctica from a feminist perspective and looking at it historically, how men have
She spent 7 seasons in Antarctica.
How many?
7 seasons, Stephanie,
7 seasons.
in Antarctica.
Wow, that is what I call hardcore. I love the reason I wanted you to talk about the panels. I'm like, what is this? This is like, what a great thing after someone has seen this wonderful show that's taken them away, and now we have women who are the real deal. You know, I know Madeline Blunt. I'm pretty sure I met her. She went with scientists, and she's an artist.
she
And
is,
yeah,
exactly.
and she was very excited about going. I met her at the Explorers Club.
Yes.
There's a woman whose name evades me who's very famous and lives in Brooklyn. She's young and very beautiful. Her hair is short and it looks like icebergs. It's like gray and white, and she paints icebergs, and her eyes are very light blue. And I can't remember her name, but do you know who I mean?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, and she goes there, and the ice that she paints, it looks like photographs. You know what? An iceberg looks like, all the little details and stuff. She does these enormous paintings.
Oh, we should.
I can't
find out the
remember.
name and you
I
can
met
tell me.
her at the World Oceans Week which is coming up in June at the Explorers Club. I hope both of you come to that.
Leilani was also at the Explorers.
Yes.
We met her there.
Yes, that's where I know that name from. I love the fact of doing panels. I'm a big person that loves talk back. Like, you know, when you see a film, Tim, and then they have like the people that were in the film and the producer, director, and a lot of people get up and walk out for those Q&As. I move myself to the front row.
Yeah, right.
That's-
Same
that's
here.
the most interesting stuff. It really is the meat and potatoes, because in your story, in your show, you've given them the fantasy, the story, and then you have the people that are
It's
like,
very
hey,
neat,
this is what we did. How very cool, you know?
I like talkbacks too.
Yeah, I'm a
Into
big
some
talkback
really,
person.
Yes.
So
Well, SUR is going to be at La Mama's in the Ellen Stewart Theater, April 3rd, 4th, and 5th at 7 o'clock. And on the 6th, which I think is Sunday,
Sunday,
at
2 p.m.
at 2 p.m. So be sure to get your tickets and go see SUR.
Thanks.
But yes, this has been absolutely fascinating, and again, I mean, just all aspects from just the inception and of the idea to the actual creation, and from what I've heard as far as the set and just everything about this story and the telling of it. It sounds really spectacular, like a really incredible feeling.
I hope you'll come.
I'm going to try. I'm not sure which night, but I'm going to try, because I'm booked. I'm a singer and actor myself, and I'm booked most of the weekend, but I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had a heads up like weeks ago, and the only time I could come was on Monday night.
so glad
you know,
you could.
when I give tours at the Explorers Club, but I didn't have a tour that night, so I was meant to be at your show. We had a couple of shout outs. I want to say hi to Savannah Lauren. Always great to see you on here. And of course, Lori Towers is just an amazing publicist.
Lori Towers says, the power of intrepid women is, oh my gosh, I can't see, invaluable.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. Yes.
Coming from an amazing feminist who is doing a line of jewelry right now called Armor, Resistance Armor. It's it's very, very cool stuff. You can find her on Facebook, and she could take you to the site, and it would be right up your alley. And I forgot to wear my piece.
And Daniel, so we say hello, and also our dear friend Suze Velgenero from Massachusetts. She's a designer, fashion designer. She says hello.
Yeah, and thank you to everybody who came and joined us today. Truly, this is very exciting. I love when things come to fruition. That, you know, you approached me at the club that night. First of all, Tim knows I like to what I call cross-pollinate, cross worlds, the Explorers Club world into the arts world, and the Explorers Club is doing that big time right now. I first learned about it at World Oceans Week with that painter that did, because I would think, what does art have to do with science? What does art have to
everything.
do with, right, it's everything. And you want to know the best thing it does? Science can turn some people off, but art, you can use a piece of art to communicate anything. And that's what's so brilliant. Somebody may not understand what a scientific person is saying, but you show them a piece of art, and then it becomes crystal clear as to why we have to save the oceans, why we have to save the earth. You know, you show them these images. Wishing you the absolute best. It's so funny when I was watching, I guess last night I was thinking, damn, why do these things have such short runs, you know? And I know it's funding and everything, but like the work that went into that, and then the whole technical aspect, you know, you want it up there for like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
forever. I love it. I want to sit there forever.
But in fact, we will leave no footprints.
Right. No footprint will be left behind, right?
Yes. Well, Onni Johnson and Maud Dinand. Is that right?
Dinand.
It was so close.
You're doing great. You're absolutely doing fantastic.
But thank you so very much for taking some time and sharing this with us. We do appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you everyone who tuned in today. See you next week. Bye-bye.